Good morning. I'm very pleased to have you join me today. I hope everybody is doing well. If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, thank you very much for your support. If you are not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Additionally, for classical music enthusiasts, we host a fun live stream every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific on this channel. We welcome everyone to join us. I thought it would be enjoyable to create a series featuring my absolute favorites from the Audiophilia Dream List. Basically, a best of the best series. My absolute favorite records from a carefully curated list of exceptional LPs of all genres. Many of our readers and viewers know me as a classical musician with a predilection for everything classical. But episode 3 in this series shows a different side, and Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon in less than a year has become one of my favorite records and played many times. Who said I was too narrow-minded in my tastes? Anyway, for episode 4, my favorite jazz record, and one I've lived with since my father introduced the artist to me when I was a teenager, Bill Evans. A genius, a poet, a magician of the piano, if there ever was one. Specifically, his seminal live set from New York's Village Vanguard. Waltz for Debbie was released in both mono and stereo worldwide in 1962 on Riverside Records. It was engineered by Dave Jones and produced by Oren Kipnews. As I was preparing the script for the video, I cleaned my wonderful pressing, more on that in a bit, on my Degritter Mark II, and at the end of the cleaning cycle, realized that I had butterflies. It occurred to me that I hadn't played what many consider the greatest jazz album for at least a year. I was filled with excitement for the opening notes of what I consider Evans' greatest achievement, My Foolish Heart. I wasn't disappointed. My pressing is magnificent and captures the myriad of emotions Evans can convey through his exquisite touch. As always, the pressing is super important for the very best musical and sonic experience. And as the recording has been released, remastered, and re-released many, many times, the choice is important. These videos are all about the vinyl, but the recording has been released and mastered for CD and SACD many times. I had this CD version early in the 2000s. It was very good, but if you like CDs, you can't go much better than the JVC. Back to vinyl. Happily, you have a choice of 4 pressings which I consider outstanding. The latest, just released yesterday from Analog Productions, the UHQR 45 RPM version cut by, wait for it, Kevin Gray. The man knows the album. He was responsible for 3 of my 4 recommendations. It's on for $300 at Amazon.ca, Canadian dollars. I'm still thinking about it. Still thinking. Steve Hoffman and Kevin Gray cut the Analog Productions Riverside box set at 45 RPM, released in 2010. Evans' complete Riverside recordings, of which Waltz for Debbie shines bright among them. Kevin Gray once again remastered the original tapes for Kraft OJC in 2023. Reviewers went gaga. Rightly so. It's superb and probably has the best sounding Paul Modian brushwork. It's pretty remarkable. But it's not my pressing of choice. I'm mulling the UHQR, would love the Riverside box, but it's $900. And my pressing of choice beat out the Kraft OJC by a hair in a shootout with lots of folks in attendance. My choice, the 1992 Analog Productions remastered by legendary Doug Sax and cut at 33 RPM. It still averages $200 plus on Discogs. I posted my thoughts on social media about the shootout, likes and not too many comments, except one gentleman, a top reviewer who set me straight. I spoke to Doug. Doug cut it way too hot, etc., etc. He went on quite a bit. Hey, me and a few other musicians think he's wrong. But don't let that deter you. Any of the 4 mentioned will give you a wonderful musical experience in the very best sound. All analog, cut from the master tapes. Let's get to the good stuff. So, why so high on anyone's best of jazz list? Evans' scholars have written more in ink than I'll ever know. Suffice it to say, he speaks to me musically in a very deep place. The album, along with the sister album from the same gig, Sunday at the Village Vanguard, has a perfect set list that highlights every facet of the Bill Evans Trio's many strengths. The first of these can be heard at the very opening of the aforementioned My Foolish Heart. Taken at an ungodly slow tempo, but notice, The tempo never drags. There's no stasis. And Evans's perfect foils are Scott LaFaro on bass, that genius wunderkind who would die in a horrible car crash a few weeks later. He was already considered the top bassist. And rounding out the trio, Paul Motian. That's right, Motian, not motion. Paul Motian on drums. For much of Waltz for Debbie, Motian displays his genius and rhythmically sophisticated brushwork. A good pressing will present both brush attack and skin reaction. This is where the Craft OJC is king. I've not heard the UHQI yet. Spatially, Evans is stage right, LaFaro front left, with Motian slightly behind LaFaro. It's an intimate setting with the sound interspersed with clinking glasses, patrons chatting, and some clapping. We're eavesdropping on history being made, and some of the patrons seem blithely unaware. However, the glasses, chit-chat, and spattering of applause only adds to the occasion. Unlike the Seinfeld trio, where George stupidly reckons Elaine is the weak link, with the requisite Jerry eye roll, no such weaknesses in this trio. Each solo taken seems, after all these years, flawless. One note changed, it'd be ruined. And all three are equally brilliant at accompanying. Much like a perfect string quartet, a format many consider the epitome in classical music, same for the jazz piano trio, and there is none better than this iteration of the Bill Evans trio. So with the perfect intonation between bass and piano in the opening of Waltz for Debbie, LaFaro's constant perfect noodling under Evans's beautiful touch in Detour Ahead or Motian's, you get the picture. Waltz has been on many best of lists before the Audiophilia Dream List, and it'll be on many more, but I'm really happy to place this masterpiece on my Best of the Best series. Bill was classically trained to professional level on flute and of course piano, but it's his exquisite touch that slays everyone. Listen to the opening of My Romance before he starts blowing. Perfection, and like all the other charts, his musicianship and interpretation give you a perfect view of the song, but just slightly askew as only Evans could do. There's a reason you ask any classical concert pianist who's the greatest pianist, and many will say, it's easy, Bill Evans. Think Rubinstein in Chopin's Nocturnes. Well, you have Bill playing with the same sensitivity and standards and his own amazing compositions. It's no wonder Chopin was Bill's favorite composer. Anyway, that's it. You won't find a better jazz album, and you have 4 masterful pressings from which to choose. Enjoy. Let me know in the comments which one you have and what you love about the album. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, stay well, and we'll see you in the next video.